morning, good afternoon, good evening. This beautiful forest scene. Let me very quickly fix that. Put 2 minutes up on the clock. Dave, welcome, my friend. I'm going to drop a quick poll and just see where people are from. Welcome. I was going to say both Daves, but that's the same Dave. Dave, Debbie, and Kima, good to see you. I'm in the I'd say sunny Bay Area, but it's pitch black right now, so it's not sunny at all. All right, we're going to get started in about a minute talking about the ACP-620, continuing with automations. A topic, well, I guess near and dear to my heart, an interesting one. And someone could give me a thumbs up that you can hear me okay. That would be great. I'll turn the, too much. Turn the volume up just a little. Welcome, work, play, repeat from, I assume, Pennsylvania. Hopefully there's not too much snow there. Welcome, Justin. I'm laughing. I don't know if that's I assume it's supposed to be Guten Tag, which I believe is German for hello, question mark. Spoilers, I don't speak many languages. Any language other than English, actually. Which makes it kind of hard because my kid's learning French. So if anyone has any tips on how to help teach a child French when you don't speak French, I would love to hear them. All right. Way too much snow. I'm sorry, work, play, repeat. I grew up on the East Coast. I kind of miss it. And then I remember you have to go shovel it all, and that's just a pain. So hopefully it's not too bad out there. Take that down just a little. All right, folks, we are going to get the ball rolling. Improve, I am in Berkeley, so right next to San Francisco. Welcome, Debbie. Thank you for the French. I forgot a related fun facts, folks. But my name is Rob. I host these study sessions to help other folks earn their certification if they want, but also to get over the challenges of using systems. I was never trained on this stuff. I started doing these, honestly, to earn a certification, and I used it as a commitment device. I said I will host my study sessions live so other people can sit there and keep me honest, make sure I actually do it. And then a couple hundred people showed up. I was like, oh, I'm going to do more of these because it's useful. So that's why we're here. I've been using Jira since about 2013 and use that chat. Some of you have found it already. Mostly on the Americas, so it's North or South America. Anything from Nunavut, Canada, all the way down to the southern end of Chile or Argentina is considered the Americas. So most of us are in there right now. I'll get rid of that poll in just a minute, but use that to respond to things, and then use the chat to ask questions, ask for clarification, anything like that. I also do this professionally, so this particular series is sponsored by Service Rocket. They have a program called the Crew Members. I do this. It helps me get some work in the Atlassian ecosystem. You can support me just by checking out that link if you've got a minute, just to learn more about it. And of course, you can like and subscribe to this to help other people find it. But mainly use the chat. Welcome from Kansas. Welcome, Christina. Stefan, good to see you. I did not fix that. All right. Just a quick reminder on why are you here or question. And you can tell I reuse this slide quite a bit. Just remember your why. Right, we're 4 sessions in now. That's 4 hours you spent with me. You have hopefully used the free companion course. I'll drop that link in here in just a minute. You are hopefully studying on your own. And I say hopefully because I don't know. Unless you share with me that you're studying, I have no idea. And this can all be hard. We have lives. Make sure you understand why you're here doing this. So I'll drop some links in the chat. Welcome from Brazil, Carlos. What is WITAM? Help me out, Dave. I'm going to change up the poll. I'm curious who's actually using that free companion course that I slaved for hours to put together. But your why you're doing this will help motivate you. It'll help you. Wow, that's a weird thing on my screen. Let me get rid of that. It'll help you, get up and actually put in the work and do it. I'll put a link to that free companion course here in a minute. But here is the breakdown of that exam. You don't need to take the exam to benefit from this, but this is always a reminder of how much of the exam it actually relates to automations. 14% of the exam is just about automation. Practically, I use automations quite a bit. They help with day-to-day topics and ideas. I'll talk a little bit more about when we know how to use them. I'll drop a link to our free companion course. They also show up in Confluence, Jira Service Management. The only disadvantage is only space admins can make them. And this can make it challenging if you don't have that access. But in general, anything a human can do in Jira, we can automate in general. There might be some exceptions, and there are some things that automations can do much better than humans. For example, an automation is never going to forget to run, right? Whereas I, as a human, might forget to go do something. So practically, this is probably more than 14% of my life as an admin, thinking about them, building them, maintaining them, learning about them. Because my biggest challenge with automations is just knowing what they can do, like finding that use case. And I can see over half of us haven't taken that free course yet. Everyone right now, the 60% of you who haven't started it yet, go sign up for it. It's right there. It's got quizzes. It's got homework. It's got labs. It'll help you gel these concepts. Again, totally optional, completely free, up to you. But this is feedback I got from folks. I want this, so hopefully you use it. And again, for me, this knowledge gap, like this thing here, is the biggest hurdle with them. It's not that automations can't do the thing we want. It's that we as humans don't realize the automation can do it, and we don't know how to configure it to do that thing. So this will help us get a good feeling for it. I'll encourage folks afterwards and next steps, like jump into community and find other examples. We've also got a lot of folks running around in my Discord to help out. Yes, everyone listen to Justin. It's not just Rob. Justin is also suggesting we go take the course. Thank you, my friend. All right, so use cases. First, who is this gentleman? Does anyone know who this person is? Either the character or the actor. I'm going to get rid of that poll, asking about the companion course, and drop in another one around automations. You with automations. Is a Confluence smart button an automation? Off the top of my head, I believe smart buttons just trigger an automation. It's Professor Xavier. Oh, God. Rodney. No. There's, again, many things automations can do. Top of mind, when I'm in Jira Service Management, they can assign tickets. They can do a round-robin assignment, and that's just out of the box. They can make work items. Maybe every Monday, I did this one, every Monday, make a new ticket to remind me to go do something. They can interact with sprints, so they can automatically create a sprint. They can interact with other systems. That's a big one. So not just Confluence. For example, I might, when a sprint closes, I might have it make a page in Confluence. That's an example. But you can actually use webhooks to reach into other systems and help out. You are, Rodney, because that is Jean-Luc Picard. Professor X doesn't wear that uniform, I guess is the difference. Yes, this is Sir Patrick Stewart, the actor who played Jean-Luc Picard on The Next Generation. I couldn't resist throwing in a Star Trek meme. Don't let this limit your thinking, though, around automations. Essentially, I think I have a slide in here. I don't. But if you can think through the process something takes to get completed, anywhere a human has to do something, take a look to see if you can automate it. Not everything can or should be automated. However, many things can be automated and will benefit from it. I look for anything that is repeatable. Every time do this the same way, because that's what automations do. It just follows a set of instructions. This is different from a Rovo agent. Rovo agents can change their behavior a bit and interpret things a little. They're intelligent, that I put in quotes. Automations just follow step A, step B, step C. Think of it like following a recipe in baking. You do exactly what the recipe says every time the same way, and you get the same thing out the other end. And I love how Justin is actually doing this right now as a real live admin. My friend, amazing timing. We did not plan this. I would love to hear examples about that. And again, folks, I'll plug the Discord server. I've got about 300 folks in there. There's more live chat for this kind of thing where we can share more information. Now, every automation has up to 4 things within it. Maybe parts is the wrong term, but component. I'll talk about each of these, but you must have a trigger and you must have at least one action. The rest are optional. So when we think of automations, I have to think through what do I want it to do, and I have to be able to define it in a set of discrete steps. And looks like so far most of us are saying we're a 2 on this scale. A quarter of us are saying we're very familiar with automations. That's another way to pronounce that word. Wow. I need more coffee. Shout out to all of my channel sponsors for keeping me in coffee and sparkling water, which is another tier I have added. Triggers are what kicks off the automation. We'll take a look at some triggers. There are dozens, if not maybe 100 at this point. They're the green thing in the automation, and they can range from a manual trigger, a user has to push a button, to a whole bunch of complicated stuff. Everyone's pointing out that Jean-Luc Picard did play Professor X. In the, I'm really getting things mixed up now. Many different triggers. Again, this is what kicks off the automation. It would be the same as if Rodney, the Jira guy, was in there. Yes, Justin. I'll find a link to this, but I spilled sparkling water all over myself recording the other day. Which is what Justin's referring to here. I need to be more careful. Anything we could prompt a human to do. So, Justin, I need you to sit and watch Jira, and anytime a service limit is breached, do something. This is what the automation does, and this is one of the huge advantages. It's always watching, right? I don't have to wait for a human to remember to go do something. It's just always there. Assuming I set it up correctly. I personally have never seen an automation like fail to trigger properly, and I'd be curious. Automation misfire. I'm asking this just because I haven't seen it happen. Every automation I've seen has triggered. It might not trigger the way I expect, but once I look into it, the logic fits. Ah! Sorry, folks. I didn't mean to shout. Carlos, congratulations. Congratulations on passing. That's amazing. All right. So next we have conditions. Think of this like controlling the flow of the logic. Usually folks use if-then. So if the assignee is Justin, then do this action. You can also use JQL to define it, or JQuil, Jira Query Language, or even these things called smart values that we'll touch on briefly. Think of these like variables, essentially, in your automation or in all of Atlassian. But this allows us to control when the automation goes, or if it stops or starts or does something else. Conditions are optional. I usually recommend some kind of condition. Some automations you want to run for every work item. Some you only want to run for certain work types or certain users or certain priorities or certain spaces. And one thing I don't have slides for I'll talk about is automation scope in just a minute. But conditions let us control when the automation continues. So when I'm thinking through my process, if I'm working with Carlos, we might realize, hey, we only want to close this sprint if every work item in it has been completed. Or we only want to open this sprint if every work item has story points or something else to let it continue. Branching scares me. Only because I haven't practiced it enough in Jira. I tend to use it more in Confluence, but it allows an automation to repeat itself against something. For example, if you have a task that has 5 subtasks, this could branch. You might trigger it when that is first created, and then a branch says for every subtask, do something. When a task is created, for every subtask, copy down the description. When a task is created, for every subtask, update the priority or comment to the owner or some other action. So this allows an automation, instead of having to trigger multiple times, it triggers once, and then it takes action across multiple things. I'll be honest, my knowledge of this is just enough to know generally what it can do, and I'm kind of terrified of it because I don't know what it does. This is a good example of something that I need to go investigate and learn. So maybe you'll see me fumble around with this as we go. And then actions. This is the other required part of an automation. I tend to fall into the trap of only doing one action. Automations can have multiple actions, though. You are limited to the total number of things in an automation. I think it's 65. Rodney, keep me honest, or someone else. So you can have up to 65 components in an automation. I'm not saying you need that complexity, but you could have single automation trigger, one trigger every Monday at 5, and have it do 5 things. Take 5 separate actions to help people out. And there's dozens of automations. They keep adding dozens of actions. There's a whole bunch related to like AWS and Azure that I think I saw added, or maybe that was triggers. I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head. And because this is a cloud product, we're constantly seeing more and more things added to each of these. I need a quick coffee break. I'm going to drop another poll, and then we're going to get hands-on. That's kind of all the theory. But check out that free course. I'm going to drop one more quiz in here, or one more poll. I need more options. I only get 4. Boop. Thank you, Justin. Carlos has a great question. Are these concepts also applicable to Jira Service Management, JSM? Yes. The concepts behind automations are generic for Atlassian products. What Atlassian has done is they've actually made automations its own app, kind of. So we now have the studio button, and they live in the studio. So automations are a general concept in Confluence, Jira Service Management. The exact things they can do, though, will differ. For example, in Confluence, the triggers relate to things in Confluence in almost every case. Same thing in Jira, the actions they can take. There are some cross-system actions and triggers. So, for example, in Jira, I can create a Confluence page as an action. I can't do everything in Confluence, but I can have an automation trigger in Jira and then take action in Jira Service Management and in Confluence, in all 3 if I need to. Yes. So Justin's point here, sprints, mainly sprints, that's the big one, exist in Jira, less so in Jira Service Management. So you're going to see other things in the Jira Service Management automations that we won't see here as we explore this. I am also going to pop open the official Atlassian training. I'll share this link as well, just so you all have it. And I see your question, Jayesh, on reports. I'm sorry about that, Score. We do have a session entirely on reports. What I'll do, if you want to follow up with me separately, shoot me an email, find me on LinkedIn on specific questions. I can see about rolling those in. But reports are challenging. I'll talk more about those towards the end. I just want to focus in on automations right now. We are in here. And the other thing, On Demand has a whole bunch of stuff on automations as well. So if you need to dig in a lot, that is a great place to go to get much more targeted. While I'm digging through these menus, if you've got specific automation questions, drop them in the chat, and I'll see if I can answer them. This is going to be a little bit more of a hands-on guided tour. I think it's in here. And we can see this is they peg this as an hour and a half, just this one learning path just for automations. So there's a lot of stuff in here. I think I can send this whole link to folks. There we go. That should take you to this. All right, I'm going to skip to the create complex automation rules. I'll come right back to that. What we're going to do is go in and build an automation together. So I'm going to go find my mobile program. Now, automations are only accessible by space admins and Jira admins. Now, I said I would mention this thing called scope. And I see 35% of you said you would comment in the chat about how frequently you maintain your automations. And I don't see any comments about automations. So get going, team. These can be scoped to run either just in one space, in multiple spaces, or across all of Jira. If you're a space admin, you can only make automations in the space you're in right now. So if I only have space admin access, the automations I make are default scoped to this space. That means they will only take action and trigger from this space. This is good and bad. It's good because it means if I have a trigger when a work item is created, it's not going to trigger when someone in my support team makes a request to reset a password. It's bad because maybe this add label and comment on parent when subtask is closed automation, which is a really long name, would be useful to other groups. I can go talk to my Jira admin and they can change that scope. They can say, hey, make this thing run in multiple spaces. And I can see here it can only be modified in global administration. Now there's some other information around the automation we need to know. The owner is the person who makes it, and they are the person who gets the error email. So if this automation fails, then this person gets the email. That's about all this does. Actor, though, this is who appears to be taking action when the automation runs. This can be really confusing if you set it to a human, because when this automation does something, the audit log will say Robert Heen took this action, or the history on the ticket. Some groups leave it as automation for Jira. Some groups have their own, service account or bot do it. But I can always update this. I typically make it automation for Jira just so folks know it's an automation. Some groups make it a person. Up to you. You can also determine who gets notified if there's an error. So after every success, every time it fails or don't notify, I usually leave this on just so I get emails if something breaks, because I'm not going to come in here and check to see, hey, is this thing failing? I want it to proactively tell me. And then who can edit? I personally don't have a use case for restricting edit access to automations. That might be, I don't know why. I haven't been in an environment where I have to prevent people from changing this. Again, only space admins can come in here and mess with this. And this last checkbox is also important. Automations can trigger other automations. This can be dangerous because you can end up in this endless loop of automation triggering automation triggering automation. And there are limits to how many times automations can run in your account, depending on your tier. This is by default turned off. So just keep in mind, automations can't trigger other automations. Although I'd be curious if anyone knows in the chat, if you have an automation that triggers when a work item is created and part of its action is to make a work item, would that trigger itself? Improve, I see your question. We'll jump in there. Diana's got a great point. Just starting to use automations. And this isn't something I explicitly covered, but before we start building an automation, we should make time to understand what we want it to do. And this sounds silly, but I will take time to draw out on a whiteboard, a bit of paper, like the process I want the automation to take, because that will then guide my building it. So before I even start creating something or coming into Jira, I'm talking to my team and saying, hey, Diana, Improve, Debbie, what do we want to do? Or what pain points do we have? And then how can the system support that? So take time before you start jumping in here and playing with all the bells and whistles to think through it. Diana, the more planning you can do, the stronger the automations will be. Also, encourage your teams to let you know if something annoys them. Like, hey, why do I have to do this? Can't the system do it? And give them examples of automations. Maybe they can't build them, but at least they'll be on the lookout for stuff. I will point out, if you have Rovo, you can use Rovo to make automations with natural language. So you can just come in here and type out what you want it to do. I'm not going to get too deep into that. I don't believe this is covered on the exam. Just know it's possible. But you do have all these templates. So I take this as inspiration. Anytime I see templates, I go look at them and say, hey, ooh, here's one about Loom. I didn't know you could do that. And also, as an aside, Rovo agents can be called from an automation and vice versa. So you can have a Rovo agent do something and then pass information back to the automation, just as inspiration and ideas. But these templates are useful because they can be a starting point. Hey, Kathleen, welcome to the club. Maybe we need T-shirts or something. And it's great your first time. I'd be curious what you think of the experience. If you could share somewhere else, let me know in the next session or something. It's been so long since I first had to do this. I forget what it's like to be a beginner. Yeah, and there's just so much going on. And that's a great point too, Diana. It can be hard to get people to share what bugs them about something or what challenges they have. As admins, we can typically divine, we can infer some challenges. So this is where it's up to us to look at work items, to know how our team works, and we can bring some of that. We can suggest things and then help encourage the team to share back what they find frustrating. But it can be hard to pull out of them like, hey, what do you have? What struggles are there? Usually I phrase something like an automation as, let me make your life easier. Like there's got to be stuff that you hate doing. Let me automate it. You'll never have to do it again. So again, these are our templates, just a whole bunch of ideas. You can search through these, but we're going to go make a blank rule. I'm going to start from scratch. Now it's going to show me all these triggers. I'm going to just not do that. I'm going to zoom in and just kind of like work item triggers. So I mentioned like sprints completed, something about a service limit. I look at these also to get inspiration because I don't memorize this. There's no need to. It's just here. You can scroll down. There's also a search bar, which is, let me fix the zoom. There we go. You can type in sprint. Oh, there's 3 about sprints. Confluence. Oh, what about page? No. Content? Oh, a scanning alert, whatever that is. Someone asked about making a space. Oh, I can do Loom videos. Okay, interesting. So taking time just to explore this is useful. We can see here reaching into Compass and Loom and Focus. Whole bunch of stuff. Again, don't have to memorize it. But here I'm going to pick Sprint. No, Sprint will be a harder one for me to figure out. Work item created. That one's pretty simple. Some of these actions or triggers also have conditions you can add. So some conditions can be built in to it. And about a third of us. My question around how frequently do you review and maintain your automations? It is dangerous because once we build an automation, it just runs, right? Like everything, though, we as admins should be taking a look at it every so often, depending on your organization and everything. Yearly can work. I usually look at important ones monthly just to double check. I go through the audit log. I'll show you that in a minute just to see how they're running. But I also review to see if the automation can be improved. So taking time to understand how does it run and can it be better. I'm not going to add a condition to this, though, so I'll get rid of that. Then you have kind of this guided flow. I can just click next. Then I want some action. A work item is made, then go do something. So here are all my actions. And you can see our friend Rovo is bang right at the top. I'm going to scroll down, again, just to give you ideas. Here's some stuff in Confluence I can do. Making subtasks. Maybe I'll throw that in there. And each action will have different things I can do with it. So here it's saying, what is the summary? So maybe I'll call this child of, I don't know, bad naming. And these little brackets are called the smart values. Think of these like variables. This is also intimidating. I don't use these nearly enough. So every time I come in here, I have to remember what the heck they do. But basically, you can pull in, say, the value of a field. So this is saying there's a custom field I can pull in. And the name of the field, oh, it just got a number. Wow, 10190. That's very useless. Let me go back into text fields. So I can add text. Oh, wow. String manipulation. I can also perform logic in here. Again, I don't go deep enough into the admin realm to really use these, so I just know that these exist, but I'll try and here's date and time. This one I know how to use. Let me go back to the top. I just know that these are a thing, and that lets me go find someone who's smarter than me to help me build the automation. Here we go. This one we'll get today and put that into the name of the summary. So I'll just copy this. Now you'll know it's a smart value because it's got the braces around it, the squiggly brackets. This might show up on the exam. Just be aware that smart values exist and allow you to make dynamic, what's the word I'm looking for? Dynamic entry into things. You can also search through these. So I might just say parent link, name, I want summary. You can copy in the summary a whole bunch of different stuff. So maybe I'll just say created on and a date. That's probably a terrible automation, by the way, just having a bunch of subtasks named created on the same day. But we're going to keep going. Someone asked about spaces. Nope, I don't have an action to make a space. I thought maybe it was in Confluence. Very quickly, here we can see a whole bunch of stuff in Docker, AWS, Google, Azure. Throw a rock, you'll hit something. Okta, Salesforce, Splunk, Twilio. Nope, nothing about spaces. Sorry, my friend. Debbie, good to see you. Hope you win the meeting. Don't take no for an answer. Or whatever a good thing is. Maybe I'll add a condition. I want an if-then. Oh, or if something about the status. If the assignee is Rob. Continue, and then some other action. This is why it's important for me to understand my process. Maybe I'll add a comment. Because if I come in here and I start just building this out, I will build out something that doesn't support my team, or I'll build it out in a way that is non-ideal, right? Like you see me here fumbling, which of these things do I want to put in? Ideally, I just have written down, here are the steps I want to put in, and then I go build the automation and I test it. Hi, Rob. Okay, cool. All right, so here's my very basic ugly rule, and I guess I'll just open branches real quick as well. Again, this could work if I have subtasks. One important thing to know about this automation, though, I am taking actions on the work item in the automation. If I want those to be used by the automation, there's other steps I have to take. And this gets a little bit deeper into automations. But when this is triggered, it grabs information from Jira and kind of hangs on to that in its memory. It doesn't update that when this happens. And Rodney, keep me honest. I'm picking on Rodney because I'm pretty sure you know about this more than me. But as I do things inside the automation, it is possible to reference them in the automation. You just have to take other steps to update things. Let that sink in. I'm going to drink some coffee. Take a quick second to check out today's sponsor, Service Rocket. Again, they've got that crew member program, part-time consulting work in the Atlassian ecosystem. It has helped me out. Honestly, it allowed me to quit my full-time job and do this. So I'm thankful for that opportunity. But I'll share the link. Just go say hi for me. And I do see some of y'all are signing up for the free course. Amazing. Again, it's free. I can't recommend it enough. All right. I'm going to get rid of this branch because I don't know what it's going to do if I just leave it there. So then I'll turn it on. I have to give it a name. Like many things, naming conventions are super important. Over in Discord, there have been lots of fun, interesting discussions around those. I'll put that link there if you're looking for more chat. But what we call it's important because that's what we will see later. You can add a description to these, which I always recommend. I don't want to give this a name. What would be a really bad name for this? Rob's Automation. Terrible name. Because I don't know what that does, right? So maybe I'll say like on create, add subtask, and comment. A little bit better. And now I have an automation. If I click on details, annoyingly, now description shows up. I would have hoped that this just appears when I make the automation instead of having to go dig around. This will be useful information for both future you and for other admins. Again, other space admins and Jira admins can see this. So I might put like information on why we did this or a link to documentation or something to help other people figure out what this is doing for you. Comment needed to ensure Rob knows we said hi. Smiley face. And then I can change, the owner, the actor, all the other settings. I'll click update. All right, so now we have an automation. I'm going to go make a work item to force this thing to trigger, and we'll just see what that looks like. Now, because I didn't add any conditions to the start of the automation, this will trigger for every work item I create in the mobile program space. So that is an important thing to remember. The scope is just mobile program. So that means it's limited to doing stuff in mobile program, or at least being triggered out of it. And I say that because I'm pretty sure it's possible to create work items in other spaces as long as you have access. Just keep in mind, though, it's only going to trigger from work items created in mobile program. New work item. And because I didn't ask it to do anything else, it's going to make it even though there's nothing on this ticket. So that's something else we probably want to consider. Like, are there more specific conditions we want to put on the automation to make sure it only runs in specific cases? I'm going to drop another poll. Don't know how they work. Just curious your frustration or concern around automations. So I now have this, and we can see right away it worked. And I know because it's got this little subtask. Again, this is a very straightforward automation. I said when it's created, that's the trigger, add a subtask. If Rob's the assignee, add a comment. So I have this one condition. Rob's not the assignee. There is no comment. I'm going to run this again, though, and assign it to myself just to make both things happen. Another test. Yay. Assignee, assigned to me. Now, this is a bit of a silly example, putting the comment, because folks should get notified automatically out of Jira. We covered notifications, I think, last week. When they're assigned something. And you'll notice there was a bit of a delay there. Like this loaded and then nothing was here. Automations do have a processing time. So from the point it triggers, there will be some amount of time that has to pass for everything to happen. This to me makes sense. I'm zoomed in. Sorry. The system first has to realize, hey, I need to do something. Then it has to say, what do I do? Go make a subtask. That will take some amount of time. Then it has to check, hey, is the thing that triggered this Rob? It was, now do this. We'll see this delay when we go look at the audit log in a minute. But one thing I do want to point out, everything in here, excuse me, is basing its actions and its knowledge off of the trigger. So when I say when a work item is created, it's thinking about that work item as it creates a subtask. So put that subtask on that work item. Then put that comment on that same work item that caused this to trigger. Keep that concept in the back of your mind, because as you're debugging or pulling apart automations, they can get a bit hairy. And just remember that whatever it triggered is what it's looking at or what it's taking action on or examining. Tushar's got a great point here. Owner actor are different things. And they can be different people. The owner is basically just the person who gets that email if things fail. Important. However, the actor, if Robert Heen is the actor and Robert Heen's account is deactivated, things can break. So there's a problem. So this is something more for like the Jira admin to really worry about. But as a space admin, I'm also keeping an eye on my automations and correcting and adjusting actors if I notice someone left. Typically, you'll hear people complain, why did this automation stop working? And that's a very clear signal that you should go in and look at this. Improve's also got a good point about limits to executions, and I'll tie this into the processing time. So here's our automation. I'm going to go back to my list of rules, and what I'm looking for here is my audit log. This just keeps track of every change to an automation. I can see configuration changes. as well as every time it runs. And we can see there's a lot of things in here, right? There's a lot of automations running that we didn't talk about. I haven't seen this happen in a while. Improve. It should break. Like if Rob's account is deactivated, I am unaware of anything in Jira that will automatically fix that. So it should break. I'll see if I can test that later. I've got a couple of extra Robs floating around this instance. I can go disable and see what happens. And curious if anyone happens to know in chat what'll happen. But it should break because that account's deactive. I'm making up bad grammar. Deactivated. So far, our biggest frustration is lack of knowledge. Yep. Justin's also pointing out there are limitations that we run into with automations. So they can do a lot of things, but they're not magic. And the frustration of being an admin is finding those and being aware of them and knowing how to get help. But what we can see here, and I'll zoom in because these numbers are very teensy tiny, there's a total time. This is the one that we ran. It took 2.5 seconds from the time it realized the ticket was created to completion. This is important to remember. If you see these numbers get excessively large, like anything over than a few seconds, it's always worth looking at the automation to see what it's doing. Typically, this is a result of a lot of actions or a lot of things, because again, Jira has to go through and do all of the things you want it to do. So if you see this number creeping up, or if you're like, that seems too high for what this is doing, just pop open the automation and just see if you can, not by doing that, pop open the automation. You can drill into it. You can open up just that specific run and see if you can figure out what's causing that delay. So I can see here all the steps, and I can see the exact time according to my system clock of when they happened. This is typically only a problem in bigger instances. As more and more things are added to Jira, it gets a little bit slower. Excuse me. And the way I think of it is every time something happens in Jira, it has to go look at automations and see, hey, should this run? For example, in the one we made, every time a work item is created, it's got to do something. So every time there's an action, it has to evaluate, do I run this automation or not? And we see this in the audit log with all of these other automations. This transfer employee, it says no actions performed, but this cost us 7/10 of a second. Not a lot of time, but if I had 15 automations, suddenly that's 15 seconds of nothing happening, right? Because they all have to sit there and go, nope, not me, nope, not me, nope, not me, all the way down. What counts as an execution? I'll have to go look that up, Improve. I want to say just a trigger, right? Like it's doing something. So anytime I see anything triggered, no actions performed shouldn't, ? I don't know what this does offhand, but I'll have to go look that up. There is also now a usage tab. I don't know if this is on the exam. I forget when they added this, honestly. But this is helping me see how many automations have run so far. So this ties into Improve's question. I'm going to go into Jira's pricing. And I always come to this page because I know it's listed. But depending on your tier, you will get so many executions in a month. Now, if you're on Enterprise, you get unlimited, right? You're the highest tier. You get as many as you can. If you're on Premium, you get 1,000 rule runs per month per user. Excuse me. So that means if I have 100 people in my company, I get 100,000 total runs, but no one person can do more than 1,000. That means triggering it, right? If I'm on standard, it's 1,700 total across everybody. And if I'm on free, only 100. So typically groups I've worked with and been at, like we don't run into this too much because we're on Premium or Enterprise. This can get hairy if you're on standard because you only get 1,700. And if you're using a lot of automations, you can run into this limit. I think they just stop running. I've never run into it, honestly. But this screen under automation usage will help you keep track of how many automations for this space have been run. An important thing to keep track of. Tushar's got a good point. Switching from data center to cloud, part of that transition is evaluating things like automations. And he's pointing out there might not have been limits in DC. 80 steps is a lot, my friend. Anytime I see, if I see an automation that big, I always ask myself, can we shrink this? Or does it truly need 80 steps? Because that's a lot of things to automate. Could this be 2 automations, or can we streamline the process somehow? Every group is different. We all have our own different needs and requirements. However, anytime in general, when I see a system with that much complexity, I go, do we have to have it? Sometimes we just inherited that. It's just always been there. Sometimes we can actually change it. Let me back up. An action. Oh, thank you for clarifying, Justin. It's number of actions. Interesting. So if I had 5 actions, would that count as 5 or 1? Huh. Love these questions. Hard-hitting journalism. Oh, 80 automation rules. Excuse me. That makes more sense. That's still a lot of, hopefully that's not in one space. That's still a lot of rules. And I'm saying that because as the space admin, right, or as a Jira admin, I have to know what these all are. I asked that question earlier about how frequently do you maintain these, because you have to live with them. The total number of components you can have is 65, Barbara. And we can see a limit right here. So this is telling me this particular automation has 5 out of the 65 total. A component is just anything in the automation, a condition, a branch, an action. Although, does the trigger count as a component? Let's find out. Delete, delete, delete. Yes, the trigger is a component. So your smallest possible automation would be a trigger with an action, 2 components. You can add up to 63 more. I'm going to go over to the learning path and just see if there's other... we also need to talk a bit about integrations, sure. It's a cloud-based system and many groups will integrate. Some of these do show up on the exam and we need to be aware of them. As just a space admin, we're a bit limited in what we can integrate and what we can connect. Oh, Ben's saying they don't maintain space level automations. Whoever built it is responsible for it. Yes, and I'm kind of laughing, Ben, because if I'm the Jira admin, I'm responsible for the whole instance. And if someone builds an automation that is consuming a lot of our credits, right? We only get so many runs. That can cause problems for everybody. And if someone's got an automation that takes excessively long time to run, that can also cause problems for everybody. So even though it's not my automation, I might still have people yelling at me or complaining about that automation just because it's causing problems for someone else. So just something that I always keep in the back of my mind. You're absolutely right. The space admin that created it is responsible for it. And if I'm really, really lucky, my space admins are on the ball enough to go in and actually maintain them. Now, it is also on me to help enable them, so to train them how to do that. So it's, I got lucky too. I had a Jira admin train me on this stuff. So it is usually worth our time as Jira admins to go help. And yes, unlimited executions on enterprise. Just because we can does not mean we should. I'll leave it at that. But I understand what you're saying. All right. I can't talk. Excuse me. Tushar's pointing out something as instances get bigger, right? And we'll talk more about this in the 120. With lots of spaces, they're hard to maintain. There's just a lot of stuff. Shifting gears a little bit to integrations. And I'm just going to drop another question. I got to phrase this right. Out of Jira. Not much. I got to type faster. Boop. User. I'll drop it right at the end. Yes, but I'll show you learning resources for reports. Thank you for reminding me. So there's lots of integrations out of the box, and this questions about this might show up on the exam. We need to consider, we don't want to prove Josh wrong, we want to front-end UI enhancements. We need to be aware that we can very easily integrate into Confluence. And this is because Confluence is made by Atlassian, makes Jira, they just integrate. We saw this a little bit in our automations. You can create a page in an automation. It also works the other way. You can trigger things. A trigger in Confluence can take some action in Jira. But we can also do things like connect documentation to a Jira work item very easily. Go away. Or Loom, apparently. That's a very easy integration, which we don't think of as one because it's so seamless. But this is two different systems talking to each other. So something we need to consider. There are also other tools like GitHub that can be connected, or Bitbucket, Atlassian's version of GitHub. These typically need to first be connected by a Jira admin. So keep in mind that we as space admins may or may not be able to influence integrations very much, but we need to be aware they exist and know where they are. So I'll pop back into Jira real quick. Go away. I'm on my board. I want to find repos. And here I've got connect deployment tools. I don't have GitHub that I can connect, so I won't continue. But just different ways or different connection points. This one's very common, obviously, with software development. That's a pop quiz. What does CI/CD stand for? This is what I clicked on deployments, just to see how are our deployments doing. How does our code behave once we push it out there? There's also, as you can see, over 3,000 other integrations. Commonly, Slack is one that we see, or Team, to send messages. I use that one quite a bit to update teams, if there's an incident or some big problem, or just to let them know the status of various tickets. It can send an automated message into Slack. And automations can also tie in to external systems. So I can have an automation send a Slack message when something happens. And I'll pop back in here and just quickly show that. Go back to our amazing subtask. I'll continue editing. I need a component action. Let me just type in Slack. What do I get? Sending Slack messages. So just a built-in integration into Slack. Teams is also included, message a channel. And there's also this thing called a webhook. I thought I had, do I have an action that's a trigger? I do. This usually requires some kind of developer. Sorry. I like Justin's. Tushar, as I understand it, it stands for continuous improvement. I thought it was continuous integration, continuous development. Oh no. What does CI/CD stand for in programming? Continuous integration and delivery or deployment. The idea is that we're constantly deploying code and developing things. We don't have to stop and wait. Although I can see a whole bunch of folks give me the wrong answers, which I like. Craters in, crags down, continuously interrupted, continuously diverted. Amazing. Tushar, you were the closest to the intention that I had in my head. But yes, so CI/CD is something we see a lot in development. But webhooks also allow us to connect to other systems. We can see here I'm connecting into some kind of API, but incoming information. So if I have another system that can send webhooks, I can have a trigger in Jira run off that. Now this means I can pass information into Jira from almost any system. This does require some additional work. I can see like secrets and webhooks and like other things. Requests and format, like wow. This is when I stop and I go ask for help. Just because I don't know clearly, like I need to curl. I didn't realize we were in a gym working out. There's something about data and whatever this means and a bunch of gibberish. But as admins, I need to just know I need to know the term webhook, and that if a system supports outbound webhooks, I can take some action in Jira based on that. So that's just the general concept around integrations and around Jira. Very quickly, I'm going to go into this on-demand learning and browse the catalog and just point out, if you type in automation, and I'll drop this link in our chat. A whole bunch of, that can't be right. 557 results just for automation. I kind of hope that's right. That's a lot of stuff. Or if I type in reports, someone had a question on reports. And you can go through here on the left and tick off Jira. Here we go. Estimation, tracking workflows. So this is all the free on-demand stuff. I think it was user asked for that. I'm not going to try to pronounce the rest of your username, my friend. All right, folks. So tips and next steps. Go get hands-on with automations. Again, you do not need to memorize all the triggers and things. You should know some of the basic ones like, oh, I can automate on a schedule every Monday. I do that for sprints, like automatically create a sprint. Don't open it, but create it. Know that there are actions and that an automation must have an action. Know that there's a thing called scope, and your automation will run either in a space or across spaces. But study on your own. Again, make some time. If your job makes you use Jira, that can count, right? Like you're learning, you're improving, you're expanding. If you don't have something specific to automations, though, take 15 minutes sometime this week to go play with them. Review this recording, go into that free learning. But you got to get it in your system, both to be a better admin, but also to go do the thing and get your certification, like get that 620. Next week's session is the 9th, next Monday. I think that's right. Yep, 6:30 a.m. Randomly, I will also be going to RovoCon, so I'll be in San Francisco and in Vancouver on Friday. If you're going to be there, let me know. I'd love to meet you. If you don't know what RovoCon is, they're one-day conferences Atlassian is hosting kind of all over the place at their offices or areas to talk about Rovo, the AI tool. I'm excited just to meet folks and for the excuse to go up to Vancouver. But if you're around, let me know. I will also be creating content, and I've got a forum somewhere. If you can,
are you looking to learn your managing Jira projects for cloud ACP-620 certification? Let me help you. I have a series of 10 one-hour study sessions coming up on YouTube, entirely free, where we're going to cover every aspect of the certification exam. We'll talk about things like automations and permissions and project roles. We'll dig into reports and dashboards and everything you need to prepare to pass the certification. I'll even cover exam study tips and tricks. Sign up down below, check out more information, and I really hope to see you in that first study session soon.
I'm going to drop another poll, just how was the session? Got to type fast. And shoot me an email or come find me on LinkedIn. Let me know what other questions you have or how I can make these better. And chat fell really quiet real fast. So I'm going to keep just putting that LinkedIn link and then, of course, over in Discord. But that's automations. Again, my multiple voices. Do you hear those too? My biggest problem with automations is just having a good use case and then knowing what they can do. And most people struggle with, I don't know what they can do, so they end up not doing anything. That's where getting hands-on is important. So go get in there and learn it. Practice using them. Practice talking to people about them. Someone was chatting, it's hard to get that out of your team. But most of using automations is understanding your team's pain and how you can take that away. So it's not about how do I set up a webhook or how do I use smart values or what's the scope. It's about talking to other humans and figuring out what you can do. All right, folks, that is automations. So far, over half of you thought this was amazing and 38 thought it was good. What's the difference between good and amazing? I have no idea. Please like and subscribe as well. I do this professionally. Like this is literally my job, which is amazing for me to think about. But also check out our sponsor. They have that crew member program. Again, it's a way to find part-time work in the Atlassian ecosystem. They help allow me to do this. So that's one way to support the channel. And of course, get your free companion course. It's free. I can't stress that enough. It'll help you learn gooder. Otherwise, folks, thank you so much for joining me on Automations. You trusted me with an hour of your time. I hope it was useful. Barbara, have a great week. Have a great Monday wherever you are. I've got more sessions, one tomorrow on Rovo for project managers. ACA 925 is Friday morning. Got a whole bunch of great stuff going on. Although I might have to move that because I have a flight. Uh-oh. I might have to shift things around, folks. Anyway, thank you all so much for joining. Looking forward to seeing you again here soon. And best of luck studying, because I know you're all going to go study.